Hello, I'm Micah Dimatuluk, and now I'll talk about the origin and authenticity of our photograph. So, meet Kim Komenich. This is actually the photojournalist behind the photograph, and he was actually born on October 15, 1956, in Wyoming, United States. Komenich received his Bachelor's of Arts in Journalism from San Jose State University in 1979 and continued a career in photojournalism. In 2016, working as a staff photographer at the San Francisco Examiner, he issued a book titled Revolution Revisited, where he re-examined the days of the Ferdinand Marcos regime in the Philippines. He also accomplished many other photojournalist things like the ramifications of conflict in the Philippines, Vietnam, El Salvador, and many other countries. So the photograph was actually taken on February 23, 1986 by the man himself and received a Pulitzer Prize award. Next slide, please. So, what makes this photograph authentic? Before we can delve into the authenticity of the photo, let's define what authenticity is. So, authenticity is the quality of being authentic, which is the quality of being valid, real, or genuine. So, the factors that makes this photograph authentic is that it was taken during the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution. This photo was captured during a specific well-documented moment in Philippine history and was supported by historical records, media reports, eyewitnesses accounts, and which confirms that the setting and timing of the photo are real and accurate. Second, it shows real nuns and civilians confronting real Marcos era troops. So the individuals in the photos are not actors or stage subjects. Religious nuns and civilians were known to be active participants in the peaceful protests, and the soldiers shown were actual government troops under the Marcos regime, reinforcing the photo's realism. Another one is that it was captured by a legitimate photojournalist, Kim Komenich, while covering live events. So, as a professional photojournalist and as a trained journalist, his role was to record reality, not manipulate it, which strengthens the credibility of the image. Lastly, the image earned a Pulitzer Prize, making its authenticity genuine. The Pulitzer Prize is awarded only after strict verification and evaluation. This recognition confirms that the photograph was reviewed, fact-checked, and deemed a truthful and powerful representation of an actual historical event. Therefore, this photograph is a primary source. Next slide, please.
So from this photo, what topic could a historian study with these? There are two. So first, there's nonviolent protest, and number two, the role of the Catholic Church. Next slide. So first, there is the topic of nonviolent protest. So as shown in the photo, there are guns of the military combated by the rosaries of the nuns. The armed soldiers stood face to face with civilians, especially these nuns, holding their rosaries, symbolizing faith confronting violence. And instead of responding with weapons, these nuns chose peaceful and passive resistance to confront them. And this nonviolent approach showed that military force could be challenged without aggression. Just like it's shown in the photo, protesters prayed together. And through these actions, they appealed to the Filipino morals and values, such as compassion, faith, respect for life, and unity. Rather than provoking fear, this movement inspired conscience within these people. Next slide, please. Number two, there is also the important role of the Catholic Church during the EDSA People Power Revolution. So as one of the most influential institutions in the Philippines, the church guided people morally and spiritually during this revolution. Church leaders, such as these nuns, encouraged Filipinos to stand for truth and justice without resorting to violence. Catholic figures were often at the forefront of these protests, and their courage gave people the legitimacy to the movement, and they inspired them to combat it with nonviolent measures. So these nuns praying right in front of the soldiers became a powerful symbol of faith standing against the oppression that was implemented during this time. And prayer and the rosary were used as a form of protest. These were not just religious practices, but acts of resistance, and showed that the struggle was rooted in moral conviction rather than hatred or revenge. Next slide, please.
Good day, sir. I'm Samantha Cirillo, and aside from photos, historians studying the EDSA People Power Revolution can rely on a variety of sources to get a fuller picture of the events. First, we have the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, or NHCP archives, which contains official government records, proclamations, speeches, and authenticated documents from the revolution. These provide verified information straight from the government. Next, we have the church and religious institution records. These are also important. For example, the Catholic Bishop Conference of the Philippines, or CBCP, along with the Radio Veritas archives documents. These documents the church's active role in mobilizing civilians during the uprising. We have news coverage from 1986. It's also another key source. So, newspapers like the Philippine Daily Inquirer and Manila Bulletin, along with the TV networks such as GMA, reported on the events in real time, capturing the public reactions and creating detailed timelines. Next slide, please. We also have academic books. This provides analysis and context, so historians like Teodoro Agoncillo in the Philippines, Political History, Alfred McCoy in Closer Than Brothers, Manhood at the Philippine Military Academy, and Mark Thompson in the anti-Marcos struggle wrote extensively on the martial law and the anti-Marcos movement, and their works are widely used in universities. Eyewitnesses' interviews and oral histories also add personal perspectives. These accounts, the civilians, journalists, military personnel, and religious leaders, this captures the first-hand experience of those who lived through the revolution. Finally, we have memoir and personal accounts from key figures providing insight into their motivations and experiences. These include Fidel Ramos' Silver Linings, the continuing saga of the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution, Juan Ponce and Rael Juan, a memoir, Angela Stewart Santiago Edsas, The Original People Power Revolution, and the edited work People Power, An Eyewitness History by Monica Alare Mercado. So together, these sources allow historians to reconstruct the events of EDSA in a detailed and accurate way beyond just photographs. Please.
Good day, sir. I am Mia Angela M. Mabitad, and for this slide, I'll be discussing the significance of the photo in Philippine history. Now, this photograph symbolizes the tension between power and the Philippine people. In the foreground, as you can see, there is an armed soldier, and this represents the state authority and how it uses force in order to control people. His weapon shows how the government responded to demands for reform with violence instead of dialogue. In contrast, the civilians in the background are unarmed farmers and protesters, symbolizing the marginalized sector of society. Among them are Catholic nuns who represent peace, morality, and nonviolent resistance. Their presence emphasizes that the protest was peaceful. The distance between the soldier and the civilian symbolizes the disconnect between the government and ordinary Filipinos. Overall, this image reminds us that even after the fall of the dictatorship, true democracy cannot exist without justice, accountability, and protection of the people's rights. Next slide, please.
Good day, sir. My name is Maria Athena Astorga, and I will be presenting the conclusion. Okay, so to conclude, the EDSA People Power photograph is a credible primary source that captures the real experiences, values, and actions of Filipinos during the revolution. It does not only show a historical moment, but also reflects the courage of ordinary citizens who stood together to fight for freedom and change. By analyzing its concepts, stages, issues, authenticity, and origin, we gain a deeper understanding of how peaceful resistance, unity, and faith became powerful tools in challenging state power without the use of violence. Overall, the image reminds us that true democracy is built through unity, justice, and accountability, and that lasting change comes from collective action rather than force. So, the EDSA revolution continues to remind every Filipino of our responsibility to protect and uphold our democracy. So, to test your knowledge, please scan the QR code on the screen to open the Google Forms for a 10-item multiple choice quiz. But if you're unable to access the QR code, we will also be providing or sending the link for you to answer the Google form. Thank you.